we were making fun of Daryl Morey for being played like a fiddle, but he got the Harden trade done. Now, he may have massively overpaid, but let's just talk about this whole situation. What do you think? So the trade is obviously James Harden, Paul Millsap's coming over along with him in exchange for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 first-round picks. And there's some like weird stuff with those picks. They can defer them or something. I don't really remember or know what it is, but what do you think about the trade?
Yeah. So it's the unprotected 2022 first round pick and then a protected 2027 first round pick. And then James Harden also opted into his player option next year. So he's here for the rest of the season and the next season for 47.3 million. And I don't think this is overpay at all because they were able to keep both their massive youngsters and
Maxey, yeah.
Maxey and Thybulle. And those are your starting point guard and your starting small forward. So you have Maxey, Harden, Thybulle, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid as starting five. You have elite defense. You have probably one of the best defensive wings in Thybulle. You have two guys. You have an MVP like center. Like you have the best like arguable with Jokic, but everyone has Joel Embiid as a number one center, number one MVP right now. You have another guy who can get you 20 points in Tobias Harris. And then you have James Harden, who's at least like a 20 and 10 guy who could bring the ball up, could be a 30 and 10 guy. And then you on top of that, you have Maxey who could get you 15 and 6. Like I just like that starting lineup is crazy. They could do everything. They have multiple ball handlers and multiple people who could bring the ball up. They have an elite defensive wing with an elite defensive center. And then they have another 20-point bucket who could just throw the ball into if everyone's doing bad and go get a bucket. They're well-rounded. They have shooters off the bench. I know people talking about Seth Curry's subtraction, how big that's going to be. They still have, I know Danny Green's not the biggest name or the greatest, player, but he's still a decent shooter. Like people are still not like leaving him wide open. You know what I mean? Like people still guard him on the 3-point line. Korkmaz is a great shooter. Yang this year has been a great shooter. Shake Milton is going to get the backup PG responsibilities. He's had flashes where he's been great. He's had flashes where he's been awful. So that's there. And then backup center, people are talking about, how the loss of Drummond is going to thin them out. I think Paul Millsap could play the extra, 12 minutes when Joel Embiid's not going to be on the court in the playoffs. Not even 12 minutes sometimes 8 minutes, 7 minutes. I think Paul Millsap could do a job at backup center for 6-7 minutes. So I don't think that loss is too big. I just think I love this team, man. Like they have elite players to bring the ball up and feed their MVP center. They have elite defensive wing and they have a 20-point scorer. Like it's an elite team.
Yeah, I love this team too. Harden and Embiid. It's never something I thought I would see, but yeah. I'm so happy we're gonna get to see it. Like that is those are I don't know. I just can't wait to see them play. It's a crazy good team, like you said. And yes, they lost some depth with Seth Curry, with Drummond, but like when this rotation tightens to 7-6, even maybe in the playoffs, with Harden playing 40 plus minutes and Embiid playing 40 plus minutes. I don't know. Like I do think I don't know if that's gonna be a problem. And like when I said overpay, I don't think it was an overpay, but like based on Ben Simmons' value a year ago today, I would think this is an overpay. But like considering where his value is now, where it was now, giving up Ben Simmons 2 first-round picks, which are going to be low, and then like Seth Curry and Drummond, like I don't know, that for James Harden, that doesn't seem like an overpay at this moment. So
yeah,
but then again, I really like it on the net side too because I really like what they got back.
Yeah, and for the net side, it's going to be they have great shooting. And they have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So that's great. And now they add this defensive guy who's going to actually willingly play center. And he's not going to start the games at center. LaMarcus Aldridge is going to start games at center. Andre Drummond's going to get a couple minutes at center. But when you close games, Ben Simmons is going to be willing to close at center. And that's just going to do so much for his game because he could be an elite switch everything defender with Kevin Durant. Him and Kevin Durant can switch on the center, switch on to everything. They can have this like really switchy type of defense while also having incredible shooting with like Joe Harris, Seth Curry, and Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant. Like you could just have all surrounded like 40% shooters. This is the closest you'll ever get to like people always describe him as like, oh man, like he wants to be like Giannis role, right?
Hmm.
Where you just put him at the 5 and he has a bunch of shooting. This is the closest he'll get, but he also has like a top 5 talent on his team in Kevin Durant, like all time. And he also has a top 5 talent at point guard of all time in Kyrie Irving to help assist him and help reduce his shots. If Ben Simmons is ever going to succeed, this is the location because he could just set picks. He could still like these guys are guys that don't need the ball to be like super effective. Yeah, I know like Kyrie Irving needs the ball a little bit. Kevin Durant obviously needs the ball to score, but they'll let Ben Simmons be the playmaker and stuff like that. So this is the best situation for him. And I know he must be smiling, like grinning because he's happy. He's so happy that he's on this team.
Yeah, it's not in California, and it's I don't know. I don't know if it was on his list of teams that he wanted to go to, but I literally, like you said, I cannot think of a better place for him to go.
Yeah.
That would allow him to showcase his talents and win at the same time. Because yeah, like I mean, who do you think who's starting at center for them? Marcus Aldridge, you think?
Marcus Aldridge. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's gonna start, but like closing lineup when you need to win, last fourth quarter, whatever. Like it's gonna be Ben Simmons with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, Joe Harris, and
Seth Curry.
Seth Curry.
Yeah.
Like we wanted to see Ben Simmons as shooters, and we wanted to see Ben Simmons close as the center, the
Yeah.
point center, and that's not an option when you have Joel Embiid. But now we actually get to see that, and man, this is it's
It's
crazy.
crazy.
Like I'm still of the opinion that I think you have a better chance to win the championship this year with Harden, but you get Seth Curry and you get Drummond, and then they weren't able to flip those picks for anything, which I think they kind of
No.
wanted to do at this deadline. But they're still the best team in the East and still the best team in the NBA, in my opinion. I mean, I
Yeah,
know they
which
weren't the best team in the East coming, like they've been on a horrible losing streak, but like
yeah.
talent wise, I think they're the best team in the East.
Yeah, and it's something crazy to see. Like a 7th seed is viewed as like everyone's like the number one competition. Everyone's
Yep.
like, oh man, that 17
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
probably gonna
Yeah.
win
Yeah.
the championship. But that's how good they become, man. Like with this thing, like you could see their defense becoming elite. Because when you have like Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons, like that's gonna help your defense out a lot. And we know Kyrie Irving, when playoffs actually come around, he becomes a great defender. Not a great defender, but he becomes a good serviceable defender, which he's just not during the regular season. Like he just doesn't put in the effort. But we all seen it every single year that Kyrie has ever played the playoffs. He's become a good defender because he just tries hard enough. Seth Curry is someone that is undersized for the two, but he's always someone who plays a great team defense. Yeah, he might be getting beat one on one, but he knows how to like funnel it in, good communication, stuff like that. Joe Harris, kind of same thing. Like, yeah, he gets beat one on one and stuff like that. And they're gonna attack those two when they're closing the game. Evan's gonna attack Joe Harris and Seth Curry, but they know they're good team defenders and they can they get the most out of the team defense. But I'm just so excited to see this offense, man. Like you just have like you can have like Kevin Durant setting a pick and roll for Ben Simmons, and then like whoever, whichever one the center is guarding, you could just like keep switching it over until get Kevin Durant the center spot, and then Kevin Durant's gonna just score in every
Mhm.
single center. Or you can have him do it with Steph Curry, where like Ben Simmons is a closing center, so you could just have him so quickly like move out the way, like backdoor cuts and all that stuff, and just get a mismatch for Kyrie Irving. And man, it's just such a fun team to think about on paper. And like Ben Simmons is young, he's only 25. He's under contract for a long time. Kevin
Mhm.
Durant is under contract for a long time. We knew James Harden wasn't going to resign with all these reports. So, James Harden, who has 6 months left, visibly doesn't want to resign, is telling Woj all these rumors that he wants to request a trade, but he doesn't want to request a trade. So he's
Yeah.
essentially requesting a trade. I think for value, getting Ben Simmons, shooting, picks, which you could later flip in, the off season. I think that's a pretty good haul for them.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The thing, like Ben Simmons is not the type of player you can just plug in and it's like, yeah, right away this team is like making sense right away. Like,
Yeah.
when do they need to bring him back by so that they can be like fully on the same page come playoff time? Because I mean, they need to start winning some regular season games too, right?
Yeah.
So like,
I think Ben Simmons is like he's in a situation where it's like there's already a blueprint for him. And Kevin
mhm,
Durant's already played with the person that he needs to be a blueprint of, and that's Draymond Green. So I think he can explain it and simplify it to the most like possible, right? He can explain like Draymond Green was a not great shooter, but he playmake and had an amazing defense. I want you to not be a great shooter, score that 7 points of dunks that
Mhm.
Draymond did, and have amazing playmaking and amazing defense. He's Seth Curry. He's going to be our Klay Thompson. He's going to shoot shots. He's going to be way worse defender, but you get the point, right? On the offense, he's going to be the shooter. Kyrie Irving and me, we're going to be Steph Curry and me, Kevin Durant. So,
Yeah.
the only difference is instead of being a motion offense, it's going to be a little more 1 and 2s and a little more, it's just going to be a little more a simplistic offense. ISOs, pick and rolls with different ball handlers. We could see a pick and roll where Ben Simmons is handling the ball
Mhm.
and point guard Kyrie Irving sets the pick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just be like, it's such a unique team. And this is what Ben Simmons is, right? He's such a unique player where if you put him in a scenario like this, it's just like endless opportunities that you could just think of. If he's in a possibility like where we were thinking about 2 weeks ago with the Kings, we're like, oh man, him and De'Aaron Fox, I don't know, right? But when you put him on like a team like this, he just like literally has Hall of Fame potential, and like that's how much potential he has. And on the other side, we're talking about another favorite. So I think this is a win-win trade. I think it was a good value for both teams, and I love it for both teams.
It's one of those rare trades. Honestly, I don't know if this has ever happened where like both teams are
MVP.
like enormously happy, yeah, with what they got, because like
Yeah.
it basically what happened is an all-star caliber player just appeared out of nowhere, right? He didn't exist in the league before, and now he's on a team. So it's so weird, but yeah, man, like both teams are happy. If I'm Sixers fans right now, I'm fired up. If I'm Embiid, Morey came through, like people were doubting Morey, and he came through. So I guess we owe him an apology. He didn't pay 4 first-round picks. He didn't give up Maxey. He didn't give up Thybulle. Yeah. When you put it like that, it's definitely a win for them too. Crazy.
Yeah, and I just think like the importance of keeping both those young guys is going to be so evident in the playoffs, because when James Harden's having those turnovers and bad spells, you have another guy who could bring the ball up and has been bringing the ball up for the number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. Like he's been doing pretty good for the first 50 games, and Maxey can still do that in the playoffs. For Spurs when James Harden's having a turnovers, someone, let's say he's just having trouble with like Fred VanVleet guarding him, and someone easier is on Maxey, right? He can have a better chance of that. And when Thybulle locks up the best wing defender and wing guards, that's going to be pretty evident for them too. And another cool thing was today was the All-Star draft, and James Harden went the last pick. You seen LeBron joking around with the TNT guys trying to bait Durant into picking him, but Durant was pretty stone cold, and it seems like that friendship kind of is over there with James Harden and Kevin Durant.
I wonder what happened there. I don't know if we'll ever know. I don't know, but they
played 16 games together and they're 13-3. That big 3 is going to be one of the biggest what ifs ever, because they played 2 half seasons together, and they, considering that 16 games that we saw, we thought they were going to win a championship, but it was crazy, man. Like it was the biggest what if ever.
James Harden's part of the two of the biggest what ifs in NBA history, right? With OKC,
Chris Paul's hamstring.
Yeah. Chris Paul and like OKC, being traded for OKC. So 3 of the biggest what ifs in NBA history. Yeah. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here so you never miss the best clips from Stretch the Floor. Hit the links in the description below to find us on all podcast platforms, and follow us on Instagram.